Radio Cumbria
with Kevin Farneyho.
Now, it's fastly becoming one of the most popular fitness routines around. But what exactly is yoga? And is it really that good for you? Ryan Giggs has credited regular yoga sessions as the big reason why he is gearing up for another season with Manchester United at the tender age of 40. And with yoga clubs and classes popping up all over the country, is it worth giving it a go yourself? Very, very pleased to say that I'm joined this morning here in the studio by Mark Davis. Now, Mark runs Ashtanga yoga classes in Carlisle, Appleby and beyond. And I'm very, very pleased to say he's here with me in the studio to give us, well, something of a beginner's guide to yoga. Mark, thank you for your time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Did I pronounce that correctly there? Ashtanga yoga classes?
Ashtanga yoga, yeah.
That suggests to me that there are different offsets, different forms of yoga that we might choose to be involved with. Would I be right?
There's many different styles developed, all really on the same theme. I mean, there's only a set number of positions, which is the asanas. So, in effect, there's only really one yoga, but there's a lot of different variations. Ashtanga is quite dynamic. You could say for young people, but quite a few of my students, I'm 50, and a few of them are hitting 50 or running towards 50 or sliding down the other side of it. So it depends on the person and what you're looking for. If you're looking for something very gentle, there's hatha styles of yoga which are much more relaxing and slow. So there's a yoga out there for everyone, effectively.
So there's different variations of yoga. How did you yourself first find that introduction to yoga? Is it something that's always fascinated you? What?
I think back through my history, there's kind of links. I remember as a very young boy, maybe 10 years old or younger, going into the living room and seeing my mother in a headstand. I didn't know it was a headstand. I just thought, what is that weird, strange thing that my mother's doing, and can I have a go, kind of thing. As you do as a child, everything is fun and you try it. And I think she showed me things like Lotus and a few other moves that so long ago I can't remember. And then later, as a teen, seeing it on TV and being interested, but not really getting absorbed. For me at the time, I was more into things like judo and karate, and it was in my 30s that I discovered Tai Chi, which I found just fantastic, and then went back into karate. And my teacher's wife was teaching yoga in a class, and I knocked on the door, and I was in my karate gi, and it kind of not been going that long, I think, but they were expecting some important or some experienced person from Australia coming over to do a workshop, so she kindly let me join in, and it just blew my mind because it was as physically demanding as an extreme karate class, but there was no possibility of harm to your body. It worked with your body, but you could push it to the extreme without any damage whatsoever, which was marvellous compared to a lot of other systems. You know, even something as simple as running, a lot of people hurting their knees, and it's extremely good for you in one sense, but it can cause damage. Whereas yoga done sensibly, I've never had a student, certainly in all the time I've been teaching, hurt themselves whatsoever.
It's interesting how people find their route into yoga, and as we've already pointed out here, there are different variations, so it's horses for courses. Dear aunt of mine, and we're very, very close, and her introduction to yoga, I mean, I was only a young kid at the time, she's about 15 years older than me. Her introduction came about as a result of suffering severe migraines, and she didn't know whether it was the pressure of work, whatever. And this is going back, I mean, we're talking back the late 60s, early 70s here. And you could argue she was almost ahead of herself, because people, what's that voodoo that you're doing? You know, what's this poppycock? And she attended what was then one of very, very few yoga classes to be found back home in the Midlands. It helped to alleviate the migraines. She believes that it helped her tremendously through childbirth twice over. It's not to say that it's ever easy. She's the first to go on record and say that. But she does believe as a result of yoga, childbirth was a lot easier for her to get through. And just as a way of keeping fit, again, a lot of people thinking sitting there in the corner of a studio in the lotus position, how is that going to help me out physically? But it is a great way to keep fit, isn't it?
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of very soft yoga in there, which admittedly might not do that much, but it depends on what intention and effort you put in. And it's interesting you should mention the migraines, because pre-yoga, I myself suffered from terrible migraines, which would knock me out for a week. Mm-hmm. Since starting the yoga, I just don't have them at all. So it's and actually, someone who's just started in the last few weeks, on my recommendation, has been suffering regularly with migraines and headaches, and now for them, they haven't had one since, touch wood, they haven't had one since they started. So it definitely, because each asana has a particularly curative effect. It's not just having a bit of a stretch. Each asana is designed by the ancients to have a certain effect on the body.
I've kind of stolen the answer to a question. Well, I'll still ask all the same. We're giving very, very good reasons here as to why individuals should possibly take upon the opportunity of a taster session of yoga. What other reasons do customers come to you, to your studio, saying, I want to explore more, I want to be a part of the group, I want to experience yoga?
I think a lot of people now, it's for health and fitness. I mean, there's a big push to a big drive to get fit. As the UK, I believe, is probably the most obese country in Europe. I don't know the exact figures, but it's certainly heading that way, which is quite a scary thought. I think we're going to catch up with America soon. And but on the other side of that, there is a drive to get fit and healthy. I mean, some few people come for more, they're in some kind of spiritual search for something, and they're looking to get into the heart of originally why yoga was designed, which of course it was a spiritual practice. It was not a religious practice. It was not a religious dogma. It was to, a self-realization through the practice, and developing the ability to stabilise through meditation, stabilise the body through deep meditation.
Well, that is another point to raise here. I mentioned this aunt of mine, and she's got books, dozens, hundreds of books on yoga. You talk about the spiritual side to it. Obviously, there are the health benefits, the physical benefits. It's a fascinating subject to read up on.
Oh, it's incredible. I mean, I've read many books myself on it, and I think if you do start up, it's important to research the history of it. Iyengar, particularly, and there's a book by Pattabhi Jois, but Iyengar's put a great deal of knowledge out there. You know, he has a massive knowledge on the area of yoga, and goes into the breathing and every different element of it, which is important to do. And well, for me, it depends on why you're doing the yoga. If you're just doing it as a quick fix, then you just enjoy what you're doing.
It's a fascinating subject, and I know for many it's an incredibly beneficial pastime. Mark, we're going to come back in a moment or two. We'll explore yoga some more too. A special guest for this hour of the show is Mark Davis. We're flagging up yoga. It is incredible. Ryan Giggs is credited regular yoga sessions as being the reason why he is now gearing himself up for another season with Manchester United at the tender age of 40. He's an incredible athlete, isn't he, Mark?
Oh, yeah, amazing, yeah. And keeping up the yoga should keep him that way.
I just want to, before we get into any breathing exercises and balancing exercises that you're going to put me through in a moment or two, just to swiftly ask a couple of questions on behalf of listeners to BBC Radio Cumbria. A lot of your clients, would I be right in saying that they're over the 50-year of age bracket?
I'll probably get beaten up by them when I get back to class. There's one or two of this year hit 50, and one or two sliding like myself over the edge of it.
What I'm getting at here politely is yoga. It can be, it should be, it's for any age, isn't it?
It's for absolutely any age. If you haven't done any exercise or any fitness whatsoever, then you have to be intelligent about what you do and choose an appropriate class. I mean, I teach Tai Chi as well, and one of my colleagues is an expert on teaching Tai Chi to the more delicate, shall we say, mature people. And something like that, someone who's really trained and studied in fall prevention and things like that. Again, that's Leslie at Atlas Works. You need to go for someone who's specialising in whatever group you would consider yourself. If you're fit and healthy and have kept very active, then you can go to something more vigorous. It's really up to the individual.
I've also read that yoga is very, very good for balance.
Yes, it's extremely good for balance, for stabilising the body and stabilising the mind, so you can remain more cool, calm and relaxed in stressful situations.
What I'm getting at here for elderly listeners to BBC Radio Cumbria, you hear somebody, losing their footing. I mean, yoga is going to be beneficial, I would have thought, to those of a certain age.
Oh, absolutely, certainly. I mean, it's meant to bring back that childlike vigour and energy, and regain the natural movement that your body should have.
We're going to go through some basic exercises in a moment or two. Before that, we're still both sat here in studio chairs, Studio 1B. BBC Radio Cumbria's Carlisle Studios is where you find Fern this morning. And we can remain seated because we're going to go through some breathing exercises first, yes? Yeah, we'll go through, it's one of the systems of pranayama, which is just effectively controlled breathing. And this is what we use in the Ashtanga Yoga, which is called Ujjayi breath, which is fire. Mm-hmm. It's meant to develop a lot of heat in the body, draw the energy back up from the body. In the ancient systems, they believed the Mula Bandha, which is the base of spine energy point, effectively the perineum, that the energy pours out of there and to draw the energy back up through the body. Now, even if you have no belief in energy or this kind of idea, there is a physical benefit from it's similar to a pelvic floor exercise where you draw up the perineum and draw up the pelvic floor. So there's huge physical health benefits to doing just even the breathing, apart from the fact of connecting into the body. The physical benefits, it also brings the mind to a great state of control and stillness. Okay. I mean, you're very, very safe and capable hands. If you can just direct me, what is it you'd like me, and if listeners want to join us at home, what should we be doing? Certainly be good if people practice this at home, as long as you're sitting comfortably and really as long as the back is straight. And if you put one hand on the abdomen and one hand on the lower ribs, so you can spread the fingers so you can feel what your body's doing. Now, the hands are very sensitive, so as soon as you put the hands on the body, you can feel. Now, for most people, on a natural inhale, the abdomen will swell into the hand, and under relaxed breath, there's very small movement through the rib cage. So feel what your body is doing, and actually see if you can tune into what's initializing the breath, what is moving first in your body. A part of you is completely aware of everything that is happening, what every muscle is doing, trying to tune in to the automatic running systems of your body. Now we're going to try changing the breath, taking control of the breath. And you would start this at the perineum. Don't worry if you don't know where the perineum is, you can look it up later. Basically at the base of the spine, so if you can. One of the methods is as if you're dying to go to the toilet and holding that in as strongly as possible, so that feeling of holding on, so you're trying to engage the pelvic floor and a sense of drawing in the lower abdomen. So with the lower abdomen drawn in, you want to fill the breath into the solar plexus, that's the lower ribs. Expand the solar plexus on the inhale, and on the exhale, strongly draw the lower ribs and the solar plexus in whilst intensifying
drawing in the perineum pelvic floor. So deep full breath. On the inhale, expanding the solar plexus up through the chest and the back. At the same time, touching the tongue to the upper palate, and inhale, exhale through the nose. So you'll find there's a sighing sound at the back of the throat. Accentuate that sighing sound so you can hear your own breath moving. And feel what incredible focus you need to take in your own body to control something that is naturally moving all the time. You're taking control of a fundamental process in your body. Maybe you'll find the heat building in your body. Deep full breath, and lift the crown to the ceiling. Actively squeeze the lower ribs to empty. Imagine squeezing toothpaste empty from the bottom of the tube. That's the same with the lung. Maximum empty, total fill without struggling for breath. Accentuate that sound at the back of the throat. Keep focused, the whole mind's attention on the breath. And every time you exhale, as if you're falling asleep, relax the face, soften down the neck. Allow the mind to sink deeper on the exhale. When you inhale, a sense of waking and floating through the body. As you exhale, relax, sink the mind deeper. Every breath sinking the mind deeper, connecting deeper with the body. Deeper state of consciousness. You can take as long as you need. It's certainly every breath, if you focus deeply and have an intention to sink the mind to a deeper state. It's a good exercise to practice just before bed, or even in the morning when you first get up, and it gets the core muscles moving, lifting that perineum, lifting the pelvic floor.
Mark, I'm just going to break in there. I don't know whether I got all of the moves right.
It takes time.
I don't know whether I got the breathing correct. But from that 5-minute experience, firstly, I found it immensely relaxing and pleasurable.
It should be. Yeah.
Just feel as though I've come down a gear or two. And here I sit presenting a radio show 5 days a week. You're not really given the opportunity to relax to that level. Something that you said as you took us through that breathing exercise there as well, it's listening to your body. Is that perhaps a problem with society, with individuals, health problems we face on a day-to-day basis? We're not listening enough to our bodies because we're charging around A to B, work that we're trying to cram into an 8-hour working shift. It never ever happens that way, does it?
I think it's very difficult because there's so much distraction, and everything around us is to take you out of your body. The TV, there's a dozen million channels, and you're flicking constantly. I know I am flicking from one to the next, and you know you're constantly outside of your body. But really, the thing that you live with all your life, whatever happens around you, is you and your body. And to try and connect deeply with that is, to my mind, just a fundamental thing. And once you start the journey, it becomes so fascinating and so amazing that you never turn back. I mean, the danger now that even yoga has become mass-produced and people are making so many different styles and losing the fact that really there is only one yoga, and the yoga is in you, which is to unite you with yourself and find a deeper sense of yourself. And I mean, the ancient saying, isn't it? The unexamined life is not worth living, and really, it's examining yourself. You, who are you, and only going deeper can you find who you are through focused meditation and becoming more deeply aware of yourself.
It's been a fascinating half hour. I do wish we had more time. Mark, when they said to me, you're going to be joined in the studio by a yoga teacher, I thought you'd be folding me into little bits and pieces, like a piece of paper almost. The exercises that we've experienced there, was that just basic breathing exercises. Obviously, listeners to BBC Radio Cumbria will now be thinking to themselves, oh, possibly this could be for me. I know there are balance exercises. This goes into so many different areas. For listeners to BBC Radio Cumbria who would like to know more, if it's thinking, oh, yoga could possibly be for me, who should they be getting in touch with? Where should they go?
Me.
Well, you obviously, if you're in one particular area of the county, and obviously here in Carlisle you work, I know you work down towards Appleby, but out west of the county, down in the south of the county, listeners will also be interested. Can we just Google to find
You can absolutely
a local
Google
yoga club?
There's many yoga teachers out there, and I think you've got to be intelligent yourself and decide, well, what am I looking for? And then you'll find what you're looking for. You may go through a few, because basically anyone and their mother can start teaching yoga. There's no real control on it. That you have to research yourself, decide what you're looking for. If you're just looking for a little flexibility, well, you can just go to some basic class. But if you're looking for something deeper, that's far harder to find. And you've really got to start. You've got to just try different places and see if you feel they're genuine, and that they've really started to examine themselves. That's the key.
Now we're only just tapping at the very edge of the iceberg. It has been fascinating. Mark, thank you for joining us this morning. Just to say to listeners of BBC Radio Cumbria, if you'd like to know more about yoga, the origins of it, the possibility of joining a local class, Mark himself running the Ashtanga yoga classes here in Carlisle, Appleby and beyond. If you'd like to know more about Ashtanga yoga classes, then obviously give us a call here at BBC Radio Cumbria. We can pass on Mark's details to you. 0845 305 1122. For many, it's a case of a video, a DVD. And you're quite happy, you're comfortable with... I know for a fact that my producer Steve has got a DVD and basically does yoga at home.
I think anything that gets you started is a good thing. And there's so many DVDs out there just to get people started and moving. And then it takes them wherever they want to go, really. The journey's in your hands. It's how far you want to take it. But moving and starting is certainly better than not.
Thank you for joining us on the show. It's been fascinating to hear different angles of yoga this morning. Again, if you'd like to know classes that Mark runs across the county, 0845 305 1122. We can pass on the details. Failing that, a quick engine search. And north, south, east, west of the county, I'm sure that Google search or that engine search will reveal details of local yoga classes. Mark, thank you for joining me.